Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope your day is starting off as fantastic as it possibly can. I'm going to make it even more fantastic because I'm going to share some news, some Canadian economic news that just blew away expectations. And it's an example of one of those unintended consequences effects. In this case, the United States implementing policy to punish Canada, which unintendedly resulted in fantastic news for the Canadian economy. But before I get to the numbers, let me just give you a little bit of the backstory while I flip through some amazing photos of our fantastic country. It all started when the President of the United States, Donald Trump, decided that it would be a great strategy to impose tariffs on everyone in the world. And he famously held up a billboard in what he termed Liberation Day, which gave all the tariffs that would be imposed on all the countries on earth. His strategy, I guess, was to ensure that everything companies or consumers in the United States imported from other countries would cost more, and that trade with every country in the world should be disrupted. So effectively what Donald Trump did on Liberation Day was to take a perfectly functioning US economy and throw it into chaos by burdening his own country with taxes on all imports. So he imposed hardship on his own country. And if I use an analogy like I did in a previous video, it would have been as if he stood up from his chair in the Oval Office, turned around, pulled down his pants, and crapped on the Resolute desk, gifting Americans with a big pile of his own crap to deal with. And then he called all members of his administration and all world leaders and said, hey, there's crap on my desk. You guys need to clean this crap up. The United States will not stand for this crap. All of you have to get together and you have 90 days to clean up this crap. The crap he had just burdened his own country with. And even the little puppy in this pic knows you don't crap in your own house. And so now 90 days have passed and nobody cleaned up the crap. Leaders from all the foreign countries in the world that trade with the US didn't go over and clean up the crap. And his own administration didn't clean up the crap. There's still crap on his desk. So when asked by reporters recently, what about those deals? What happened to the 90 deals in 90 days? What's happening with the crap that's on our desk? As reported here on Yahoo Finance, Donald Trump's answer to that question was, I watched a show this morning and they were talking about, well, when's he going to make the deal? The deals are already made. The letters are the deals. The deals are made. There are no deals to make. The letters that he just sent out, which list the tariffs for all nations in the world, similar to the billboard that he held up on Liberation Day, those are the deals. That crap on my desk, we're not cleaning it up. That is the deal. He introduced policy that craps on the American consumer, hoping that he could make deals, and now the crap is the deal. And I am Canadian now, so I have to apologize. I've said the word crap too often. So instead of nations from all over the world rushing to clean up the US's own crap, most nations have just simply ignored him, went through the motions of having discussions, and just pursued other markets on their own. Now look at these numbers. Reported on CNBC, the country that was hit the hardest by the United States' own crap was China. And the report here is China's export growth tops expectations in June. Rare earth shipments surge 60% to record highs. China's overall exports jumped 5.8% in June, even though its exports to the United States plunged 16.1%. They've just changed who they export things to. And this is very similar news to the latest Canadian export numbers, which I covered in a previous video. I'll link it up here in the top right corner if you want to see the Canadian data. But now let me show you the stellar numbers which Canada just posted regarding jobs. And remember when all this started, the United States is going to put tariffs on all our exports. And so they'll buy less of our exports and we'll have to shut down all those industries. And there's going to be massive layoffs and unemployment is going to skyrocket and Canada won't be able to handle it, and we're just going to have to cave to the United States. Oh, what will we do without the United States? Well, here is an unintended consequence. Reported in the Globe and Mail, Canadian unemployment rate unexpectedly drops to 6.9%. The May jobs report for Canada came out, and it was a fantastic result, completely unexpected. Canadian employers went on a hiring blitz to start the summer, and the jobless rate unexpectedly dropped in June despite challenges posed by the country's trade war with the United States. Statistics Canada Labour Force Survey for June showed that the economy added more than 83,000 jobs. The result came as a surprise to economists, who were expecting no change in employment and a jobless rate to increase to 7.1%. This was the largest increase in employment in 6 months. Now, why is that? Why did that happen? I thought Canada was going to be crushed economically, especially in provinces who rely on the exports like steel and aluminum, like Quebec, their major export being aluminum. And now with massive tariffs on aluminum, the numbers for Quebec must look terrible, right? Well, wrong, actually. As reported in Global News, Quebec GDP rises by 0.5% in the first quarter of 2025. Quebec's GDP increased. The province's Statistics Institute says the growth is mainly from increased investment in the business sector. And this is an effect that you won't read in the inflammatory rhetoric that fills the media. And even some economists have kind of not factored this in. And that is the difference between macro numbers and micro numbers. We're going to get some negative numbers in the future in certain sectors. So when you read a report about that product in Canada, you'll read something like exports of that product down 14% to the United States. And it's a terrible number. You will read negative numbers like that. It's inevitable. And it's not our fault. Those are macro numbers that affect a certain industry, and they'll affect the Canadian GDP. It'll probably drop. But then there's something else, the micro numbers, the real people numbers, what real people are doing, what 40 million Canadians are doing and deciding every day, the way our habits are changing, the way we're buying our own products, the way we're vacationing in our own country, the way we're not exporting our dollars to the United States. That will manifest in our economy in a huge way that's not captured by these macro number projections. Let me give you an example. A Canadian family is going to take a holiday this year. They're going to go away for 5 days. They had budgeted $1,000. $100 a night for a hotel for 5 days and $100 a night for food and entertainment. Now, I know those numbers are probably not realistic, but just to keep it as a simple example, they're going to spend $1,000. And in the past, they might have crossed the border and gone into the United States and stayed somewhere in the United States and spent that money in the United States. And that money will be absorbed in their economy and circulate in their economy. Well, Canadians en masse are not doing that anymore. This year, that family decided to take a 5-day holiday within our own country. So they're going to spend $500 on a hotel here and $500 on food and entertainment here. They're going to spend their $1,000 in Canada. And so the owner of the hotel in Canada where they're staying has an extra customer. And the restaurant that they go to in Canada has an extra customer. And if millions and millions of Canadian families are doing that, then there's lots of extra customers for hotels in Canada and for restaurants and entertainment in Canada. And guess what? Those hotel owners are going to be really busy and they're going to have to hire people to work there. Those restaurants are going to be really, really busy. They're going to have to hire more people. All the tourist destinations and the places where people go to spend money, they're all going to be really busy and they're going to have to hire more people. That's a completely different effect on the economy, completely different than, say, something like increasing the exports of oil and gas by 100,000 barrels a day. Sure, that will increase Canada's GDP, but it may not put any more people to work. That would be a good macro number for the Canadian economy. We're going to increase our exports. Sure, that's a good thing, but regular Canadians and Canadian families reinvesting their money in our own country is a huge thing. It's an effect that's not thought of a lot and not given enough credit for what it does to the economy, because it's well known that when you congregate enough people in one area, when a city gets to a certain size, it tends to build its own momentum, its own vibrancy as people shop and eat and do entertainment in that system, in that city. It becomes kind of like a washing machine, moving the money around within that system. People exchanging money for goods and services, and the economy can bubble and become vibrant and grow on its own, as opposed to the United States tourism industry, which is basically collapsing as they berate and threaten and become hostile to all countries all over the world. Who would want to go there? Why would you want to use your money to support them? As our Prime Minister said, we can do much more for ourselves than any other country can take away. So just remember, we're going to be constantly barraged with these negative numbers. It's easy to just cherry pick a negative number here and a negative number there, and there will be negative numbers. Believe me, I'm not trying to say that everything is great and there won't be any problems. There will be economic hardship in our country through no fault of our own due to the aggression and threats from the United States to us, which we can't control. We can't control that, and we don't have to get sucked in with this negative rhetoric. We have to just respond calmly on our own by keeping our money here, letting our money work for our own economy, letting our government try and build new trade relationships and new supply chains with other countries, and then hoping that our businesses and our companies can step up to the plate and take advantage of that. Make the transitions themselves. The government's not going to hold anyone's hands. There's millions of different businesses run by tens of millions of ordinary Canadians that have to make the change themselves. We have to diversify. If demand for your exports drops south of the border, person-to-person relationships change, you have to find new customers. That's what Canada has to do. And we're going to read headlines and we're going to hear negative news about the macro numbers, usually involving our big industries. There will be some negative numbers. But from a people perspective, we have huge power. There's 40 million of us that can make simple, rational decisions that will help our own country. If you want to go buy a big pickup truck that's made in the United States and buy yourself an RV that's made in the United States and then cross the border and go camping and spend 2 weeks on holidays in the United States and spend your money there and talk to everyone about how Canada is broken, then go ahead. You're not really helping the country. But if you use your brain and you use your wallet to support ourselves, tens of millions of us, being smart in the way we make our choices. If you choose Canada, there is no one man or person that can change the momentum of such a huge, fantastic country. There'll be a few bumps along the way, but we'll be just fine. So go out then and enjoy what hopefully will be a fantastic rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed my video. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Leave some comments in the comments section, or go check out the new I Choose Canada merch that's usually pinned to the bottom of the video here. And if you want to support my channel monetarily on a monthly basis, hit the join button or click the link that I put in my comment that I pinned to the top of the comment section. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all on the next one.